Hey, it's Paul Jang, and today we're going to go over why I never invest in land even though I love real estate. Is that smart? Okay, so we'll get right down to it. I saw a video by Minority Mindset. It's a YouTube channel that you can check out, and that was essentially his title. He never invests in land. Now, he lists out and breaks down his points on why land investing is not a great real estate investment, and I'll break down his line of arguing and what I think about it. So his first point was that with land, you don't get depreciation, right? So his point is that land doesn't depreciate, buildings depreciate, and when buildings depreciate, you're able to get a tax break. Okay. Now this tax break is great because they'll save you money with taxes. The side effect, the counterpoint to this is that sure there's no like depreciation with land because generally it's going to stay stable or appreciate in value. Houses generally appreciate in value, but you also get that depreciation tax benefit because the house actually deteriorates over time. And that comes out in other ways, generally with repairs and overall maintenance. So, if your HVAC breaks down, yeah, sure, it might be a minor cost, but eventually it will break down and cost you a couple $1,000s to fix. How about a new roof? Maybe it's a slight leak and you can repair it and patch it. But, at a certain point, you're going to have to replace the roof. Unless you're in a climate that you might get hail and insurance might cover it, you're going to have to replace the roof. And for most people, you'll have to go into financing that. If that's not an option, just pay cash straight up for that. And a roof can cost multiple thousands of dollars. Right? New flooring, do you need new flooring, new paint? These are all things to account for whenever you're talking about real estate. And depreciation is a tax benefit that land doesn't get, but it's because they're trying to offset those repairs. And those repairs are going to be upfront costs that you'll have to manage. So in reality, when you say that, this is like a downside with land, in actuality, this just means that there's less hassle, right? As land investors, you don't have to worry about repairs. You don't really have to worry about maintenance. I think it's a great real estate investment. The next point is that he says that land investing is speculative. And that just means that you're buying something with the hope that it appreciates and you're going to be able to sell it for a profit. His line of arguing was that, yeah, for sure, a developer can come and buy the land for much more than what you might have bought it for, but you don't really know that. Like businesses might come along roads that you bought like land in high growth areas, but you can't really guarantee it, right? So you're always just kind of hoping that the value of the land increases and you don't have any control because you are ultimately speculating. So there is a type of land investing that's more speculative like that. It's also very, it follows the same trends as if you're gonna buy in New York City or in San Francisco, just assuming that the real estate property would just appreciate over time, right? And in those markets, you kind of have to go with that mindset because it's a lot harder to get cash flowing properties unless you are talking about multi-units or something like that, unless there's something special going on. See, the counterpoint to that is I agree with him that speculation, with Minority Mindset, that speculation is a bad investment, but because you don't really have any control of it. You're just assuming and hoping that things will work out in your favor in the future. In actuality, with any kind of real estate investments, you have to be able to find deals. If you can't find a good deal, it doesn't really matter if it's land or a house or a multifamily home. You need to find a deal where you're buying something that's of lower market value if you want to profit quickly. If you're thinking of it as a long-term hold, like a rental, you can go ahead and do that and pay full market price, but you have to make sure that the cash flow is still good. So in either case, the numbers kind of have to work out that it's a deal for you. In all of these strategies, you need an exit ticket. My strategy, and the strategy that people use for land investing in particular, is that they will buy property on wholesale for very cheap, 25 cents on the dollar, and then sell it for a higher amount for cash or for terms with owner financing. It's very similar to the people that you see on HGTV. Like where they buy these dilapidated homes and they find value there, and they're able to fix it up and sell it. That's kind of the AGTV model. Or at times wholesalers will find these properties and sell it to rehabbers and kind of make money there. It's very similar to the land investing niche, because whereas with homes you're able to find value when the property's deteriorated and they can't go to a realtor. With land, especially the lower price lands, I'm talking like 60,000 and under, even into the 80,000 and under, most realtors don't really want to deal with those properties because there's not enough of a commission for them. Right? Land, you're in a niche where realtors aren't really targeting land at all. That's lower competition, meaning that you are able to find better deals, right? You're able to help landowners that aren't able to sell the land on their own. So you're providing value on that end, and because you're providing value on that end, you're able to flip it for a higher amount. So I agree with minority mindset. Speculation is a bad idea, but just as in real estate, with houses, you need to find a good deal. You are able to do that with land. In fact, I would say it's even easier. Minority mindset's third point was on passive income. He said that with rentals, you're able to build up passive income because, once you buy a property, you'll get rent over and over and over again. That is true. I love rentals. I love passive income too. And I'm actually going to say that land investing might be a better way to get passive income. So you kind of have to wrap your head around this. Renting is a great way to kind of get money indefinitely. There's another form of passive income that real estate investors use called owner financing. With homes, you might see it with kind of more niche real estate investors that aren't just doing the buy and hold with renting and leasing. They'll find special deals and sell it for owner financing, get a down payment. With land, you see it much more common with owner financing, because most banks will not loan on a piece of land because they value it as high risk. And the reason for that is with a house, they can find an unlimited amount of people that will buy and sell property, right? They could just go to a realtor to, in case there's foreclosure, they could go to a realtor to help them sell the property. With land, it's much more niche, much more nuanced. And so you're able to do these financing terms where you're able to sell for owner financing. You're able to get it for very inexpensive, and you're able to flip it up for significant amounts of money in the future. So like the numbers that I'm kind of talking about is you could buy a piece of property for $2,000, a piece of land, and sell it for $10,000. You get the down payment from the buyer for $2,000, so you get your money back right away, and you have $8,000 of passive income for the next 5-6 years. So it's not really like a rental. In the case with rentals, you get it indefinitely, but you're able to kind of snowball your way with these deals, and you just keep doing this over and over again. $100 payment, $200 payment, $300 payment coming in as you build up these deals. Whereas with rentals, I've just kind of found, at least for my end, the cash flow numbers are usually a bit lower. You could get $200 or $300 per house, but you'd have to pay a more significant amount in terms of your down payment, and you have to worry about capital expenses, kind of like you're hoping that the roof doesn't cave in at some point. You know, the HVAC unit doesn't go out and just kind of ruin your annual, you know, income revenue from that property. So I think rentals are great. I'm not saying anything against what Minority Mindset has said, that, you know, getting a cash flow property, you know, a single family home isn't a great deal. I think it is, but I'm just saying that with land investing, you can do that without having to put as much money with houses. It's a shorter amount of time period, and you're giving them ownership of the property, so you're not dealing with you know, the maintenance that you might get with rentals or any of the other stuff that you might deal with whenever you're talking about houses. You know, go ahead, get passive income. Just don't negate land investing, because you can get passive income. You could build a pretty significant portfolio of it if you look in that direction. The fourth point, he makes a point that, you know, do you like losing money? And if you like losing money, go ahead and invest in land, because you're not going to get, you know, any money from it. Now, and then he comes up with these points in his fourth point. Hey, you can't get your tax breaks with depreciation. You're not going to make passive income. And his main point with his fourth point is that every month you're going to be paying, you know, property taxes. And then it comes in the form of an annual payment. And he says, you know, do you like losing money? Because if you do, like, hey, you're going to be paying property taxes on your piece of land. So here's the thing. No one likes losing money, right? But whenever you are buying undervalued property, it's one of the best ways to not lose money, right? So if you bought a house that was overvalued, it really kind of doesn't matter, because like you got a bad deal, right? And you're gonna have to wait for appreciation or something else to kind of like work itself out, maybe, right? It's very speculative. But you know, if you're able to buy undervalued property, you're able to get it for a good deal, you can profit out of it. And I'm saying this, like, with land, there's much less competition than with houses. With houses, you're competing with HGTV and like the people that want to be rehabbers. You're competing with typical real estate investors that want to get into rehabbing but don't have the money to rehab, so they're becoming wholesalers and learning about that. But you're also dealing with all the realtors in any market that are competing to get houses and getting a commission on it, off of it. There's like specialty investment realtors that you're competing with as well in the housing market. With land, there may be like 2 or 3 that focus on land, if that, and you know, aren't even heavily advertising, right? So like, and there's more land than houses, right? It's kind of incredible to think about it, but if you open up a map of the United States, a city is like a dot, but there's a mass of land in between cities in almost every single state. I would say in New York it might be a little bit more condensed, or in California as well, but even in California, there's all these other areas where there's so much land still available. So with the thing about what Minority Mindset said about like having to pay property taxes, and hey, if you don't want to lose money, you shouldn't invest in land. Here's the thing, right? You know, if you're able to buy these properties undervalued, you're able to sell it for cash and for owner financing. With the whole property tax thing, you might not know it, but whenever you buy a house, there's property taxes on that. You're actually paying property taxes on the land that the house is on, but you're also paying property taxes on the house itself. So you're paying 2 property taxes whenever you're buying a house. In reality, like this shouldn't even be a point with what Minority Mindset said being about like property taxes like causing you to lose money. You'll make so much more money if you're focusing on finding deals, right? Find the deal. If you buy a property that's worth $20,000, but you buy it for $10,000, you have $10,000 worth of value. And property taxes are like, for land is like $30 in a year. What are we talking about? Okay, so the 5th point that he says is that No one is buying land. That's what minority mindset is. So he says that, he gives an example about Amazon stock. You're able to buy it and sell it in seconds because there's millions of people buying stock. In real estate, it's, generally takes about a month or two to sell. But if you're trying to sell land, you could wait years. I would say that generalization is true with stocks, paper assets. They're much easier to buy and sell, right? Because you have the retirement guy, doing his 401k plan, doing a terrible deal there, and their managers like buying and selling stuff too. You got traders and all sorts of things going on. Land takes longer to sell. But here's the thing, if you go to different land listing sites, you type in like land in such and such, county or city, you're gonna get a list of land investors that are doing very well selling you full market value of their piece of land. And they're buying it, I'm telling you right now, they're buying that land 25 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, maybe 50 cents on the dollar if it's a more expensive property. But they're doing very well selling that land. I don't know what else to tell you. There's a bunch of land listing sites. One of the main ones is land.com. And land.com is comprised of LandWatch, Lands of America, Land and Farm. If you want to advertise on their platform, it costs, like, their basic plan is like $320 for the premium, kind of like right above basic. And then I'm on premium 30 listings and I'm paying like $530 per month. There's like, you could go on to the signature plan and pay a couple $100s more for that. But like, and there's investors paying that. You'll see the signature amount right there, right? Like, I'm just saying, there's people going on land and like buying land. I don't know what else to say to you, right? Like, I wouldn't pay $500 per month if I wasn't getting, people interested in land. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like, there are land investors flipping multiple lots per month and making this into a business model. The more inventory you have for your land, it's going to help you make more sales. It's just the nature of the business. But like, to say that no one is buying land, it's just not true, right? There's millions. If you just type in like Google, like how many people are actually searching for the term land in whatever county, it's going to be significant, a large amount of people. That's not to say that it's going to be quicker than real estate or stocks. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the idea of no one is buying land is just far-fetched and just not true. Especially with the expansion of the tiny home movement, it's like an off-grid living. Those two things are becoming pretty big niches within at least the United States community. I can't say anything about the broader, world. But at least in the United States, they're making like TV shows about it, survival stuff. And it's becoming more common. And especially with the political climate right now, I'm not going to talk about politics and stuff, but, people want to move out, be in more country areas. So you're seeing, especially with the COVID situation, people migrating out of those like areas and moving into more affordable housing and places with more space. That's just the nature of what's going on in the market. The sixth point that minority mindset said, and why he never invests in land, is that you could develop your land. And his line of argument goes like that: if you develop your land, you're not really a land investor, you're a land developer, like land developers, real estate developers, because when you get that, you get your tax breaks, you're able to get passive income if you put a property on it or a commercial property on it. If you improve the land, you're able to sell it for a big profit. And here's my counterpoint: you don't need to develop the land, you could just be that land investor. Developing land is overrated a little bit. You need to worry about zoning, timelines, funding, and more. It's a lot of work, and you can make big profits from developing land, being a real estate developer. And his point was like, we're just in a different category. He recommends that. But what I'm saying is like, shoot, that's a lot of work. Why not just buy the land, that you're able to get undervalued and just flip it for cash and terms and be done with it and move on to the next property. Both ways are fine. There's just no need to knock on the land investing niche. Just buying land and selling it for cash and terms. It's incredibly boring. But if you like that, doing a deal, getting the money in, doing a deal, getting the money in, this might be a niche that might be of interest to you. The seventh point that Minority Mindset said is that land investing is boring. He says that you're in the waiting game and cities take time to develop, and then, you're waiting years, for your land to be worth something. So he kind of has this very narrow mindset that land investing is just speculative, and we're just hoping for a result to happen, hoping that this piece of land might give us some profit in the future. But in actuality, that's just not the case, especially if you're focused on buying the property for the right price. And the truth is that land investing is boring, not because of what he says, but it's just because of the nature of land investing. Specifically with land investing, you never have to go see the property because you can see it on Google Maps, and it's not like seeing the property face to face is really going to change the information. It's got trees or it doesn't, it's got access or it's not. It's not like we have to worry about, are the walls broken in, or is there a leak in the floor, or is the foundation okay? You don't really have these issues, so you don't even have to go see the property when you go buy it. So you can buy it sight unseen. So really, whereas real estate usually is just a local market, with land you can just kind of buy it wherever, right? I found the United States is the easiest, but sure, you can go ahead into overseas markets as well. Does the buyer have to check the property with you? No, you give them the address or the GPS coordinate to check out the land, and do you really have to worry about it? Well, not really, because land, what are they going to do? What are they going to break? What are they going to steal? They're not going to do anything to the land, right? Are they going to burn down your piece of land? Well, that's awesome then. I guess they cleared it, and we can just move on with our day, right? I mean, unless you have a strategy to cut the land, cut the trees and sell it for profit, you could go ahead and do that, but you wouldn't necessarily have to bring a buyer to go check out your property. Then you're doing that other thing, right? You're just not really dealing with the headaches of rentals or other investment properties. You're not worried about your stock portfolio taking a huge dip right before you're getting ready to retire if you didn't switch them over to bonds or some other investment class, right? You just don't have these headaches, right? And especially if you do passive income with owner financing, they're technically the owners, so they're dealing with any issues that might come up. It's on them, and you're just receiving payments and just making sure that they paid. If you like investments that could contain larger profits and have the potential to give you that passive income, in fact, I would say it's easier to do passive income than to do cash. So if you're interested in that stuff, then land investing is a great niche and a great way to put your money in. But this was really a counter video to Minority Mindset. He says that I never invest in land, even though he loves real estate. Is that smart? I would say no. Oh, make sure to leave any comments if there's any future videos you want to see, and subscribe and like this video. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Take care.